Phillip Ruffini is a relentless problem solver and entrepreneur known for turning chaos into clarity in the business world. With a background as a Microsoft product manager, he's on a mission to help companies not just grow, but thrive in a world that demands innovation and adaptability.
Phil, thank you for being here, bro.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ryan.
Yeah, excited to be here. So I think we should start by just giving a little context. So from a business standpoint, what would you consider like your business philosophy, expertise? Where do you think you really have separated yourself in that field?
I'm really good at figuring out hard problems. In the sense that, like, usually that has been applied to content and growth, but anytime there's an abstract problem.
Mm-hmm. And then, so where do you think the places we should start with that for to give like practical how-to?
Oh, practical how-to. Yeah, I mean, I'll just go with this. Like the way it all started was I started making content on LinkedIn in 2019 because I was trying to learn about online education, and I wanted to start a business in online education. So I wanted to figure out a problem. So I made an online course, and then I had to figure out how to market it. Read a ton of different marketing books. And one of the things that really stuck with me is Gabriel Weinberg's framework of the bullseye strategy, which is you basically write down 20 different marketing ideas. You try all 20 at like 5% capacity. And then after that, you evaluate all of them, cut the bottom 50%, try the top 50% again, and you just cut and prune 50% every time you try them all, putting a little bit more effort in every time to see like what is working and what is resonating. So you get left with like one or two that actually really, really do a good job. And when I applied that to my online courses, I found that LinkedIn was the best thing. 2019, my LinkedIn post averaged 50,000 views. Good was like 500,000 to 1 million. I became friends with everyone who now has like 1 million LinkedIn followers. And that is basically when I learned like content. And ever since then, I have no idea why, but people have called me being like, Phillip, can you help me with this growth stuff? And it's just like figuring out those different systems. Like, you know, even then I figured out like the funnel that worked really well for me that I had figured out on my own, but we used at like Rupa was like every month I'd use my LinkedIn following. I'd organize a live webinar that was like kind of a 30-minute or hour-long summary of my course, and then just give a discount code to everyone who showed up, and I'd close 50% of people every time, and I'd make a couple $1,000s every time I did that. And we had those webinars at Rupa too. So yeah, doing content stuff.
And so how did that play out? So I think if I remember correctly, you kind of had this realization that companies are really bad at the organic growth stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So the whole fly work of that was did all the LinkedIn stuff 2019. Was a product manager at Microsoft, left to do the whole startup thing, didn't work out. And then in 2021, I was just like, yeah, this is literally what I did. I was like, I want a penthouse in New York City. I need to make $50,000 a month to afford that. And I sat down and I was like, okay, I can sell, a bunch of things for $200, or I can just sell 5 things for $10,000. Okay, what can I sell for $10,000? If I can guarantee you 1 million views a month on social media, I can go sell that for $10,000 a month, because it would cost more in ad spend to get 1 million views than that offer. This is a no-brainer. I'm going to go figure out how I can guarantee 1 million views a month. My grandma had moved into a nursing home, so I moved into her empty house by myself, and I made 3 TikToks a day, one on 3 different phones across 3 different accounts for basically like 3 months, until I just figured out how I could average 100,000 plus views on every single video. And pretty much that is what I did. And then I went and started my content marketing agency, got to $67,000 a month in revenue in 4 months.
Accomplished the goal.
Yeah. And then I realized I would have to do that for like 2 years to prove on my tax returns before someone gave me a lease for that big of an apartment. Also, it was super stressful. It wasn't fun. It was very soul sucking. Like there was one customer, I didn't really believe in what they were doing. And that was when I was like, okay, I don't really like doing this. Like that the money was a very unmotivating goal. Also, like you still have to pay for health insurance. Like the little small things do add up, like the health insurance. But yeah, then I left and did it for Rupa Health and like built out their content and media.
And so one of the things that has kind of separated you is this ability to leverage and understand like the highest moving tasks and how to outsource everything else. How did you first come to that?
I mean, one, it's like the 80-20 principle. of like, think I'm really lazy. I don't like working hard. 20% of your effort is going to get 80% of the results. So it's like literally just focus on that thing, you know?
I feel like people would be shocked, like hearing like you locked yourself in your grandma's old home and just grinded away, and then saying that you feel like you're lazy.
Well, it's like it's in sprints. Like the
Yeah,
new
it's a
business
great
I'm
point.
starting, I had one tweet and I got 50 sales calls. Like we were sending cold emails too, but like forget the sales call, just focus on one good tweet a week. But yeah, I mean, I don't do things I don't like doing, so I outsource them. I mean, the first time I outsourced stuff was when I was in college and I didn't know how to do my CS project, and I hired someone in Sri Lanka to help me code my project. And then I got banned for life from Upwork because, and everyone always asks, how did you get banned from life from Upwork? And it was really funny. I was doing consulting for my friend's company, and I like made an Upwork posting and I left his like the company name in the job posting. And then my friend got 30 emails from people being like, oh, can we like do this job or whatever? And I felt really bad. I'm like, Tucker, so sorry they annoyed you. And I was like, what happens if I throw my Instagram in here and make it private? And I went and made 3 job posts, put my Instagram as private because I wanted to see how many followers I could get doing this. And in 24 hours, 1,000 people followed me on Instagram.
That's hilarious.
Because I just made job posts that were like, yeah, I like need advice on my social media. I respond best on Instagram. And then made my account private. I got to 900 followers. And Upwork had taken down the post because they were like accusing me of trying to work with the contractors off platform. And they're like, if you do it again, we'll get banned. And I was like, but I only need 100 more followers to reach 1,000. This isn't a cool story if it gets to 900. So then I did it again and I got banned for life. And then I spent a ton of time. I bought a second laptop. I used gift card, credit cards. I had a VPN. I tried so hard to get around the ban, but I've been banned like 3 more times. They keep linking the accounts. And then I think I got around it all. And then I think I just got banned again because I was paying for stuff with the CVS like $500 gift cards.
Yeah.
And for a while I was going when I was in my grandma's house trying to go viral. I'd gotten banned like a year before, but when I was trying to go viral in that house, I was paying video editors on Upwork to edit the videos. So I'd go to CVS and I would buy $4,000 CVS $500 gift cards.
The workers are probably like, what is this guy into?
And it was like every week. Like I spent $15,000 on Upwork over the course of that 3 months. And it was all on Visa gift, $500 gift cards.
And then so funny.
And it's funny because you're not actually allowed to do that on Upwork. You have to have a real credit card tied to your name. But they didn't know that until I did it too many times. So then that account also got banned, but for a different reason.
Was that ending up being a blessing?
Oh yeah, best thing ever.
Okay.
Then I had to go figure out how to source people overseas through any like other ways than off Upwork. Also, I now had 1,000 people that followed me on my Instagram that contracting work.
That's actually a great point.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Also, Upwork's dumb because even if you're banned, the only part of the process in which it stops you is paying. So you can just make a new account, make the job post, and then just tell them to message you on WhatsApp, and then just work off the platform anyway. Like them, yeah.
That's kind of crazy. So you still kind of use it?
No, not anymore.
Anymore.
Hiring people full time overseas. There's 2 different types of people that you can contract with. There are mercenaries and missionaries, and I mean you have this with full time employees too. Everyone on Upwork and Fivver are mercenaries. They have 10 plus customers. You're not special to them. If you churn, like the only thing they care about, the only leverage you have is giving them a 5-star review. That's all that matters. Full-time employees like actually want to do good work. And what I found, like the best like video editors I found were never on Upwork. It was always people who like wanted a full-time job.
So with all that stuff, when is it the right like place and time to use contractors?
In the beginning.
Yeah.
Literally anytime you don't want to do anything, you get scale as soon as possible. Like I'm starting a new business and like, dude, I don't like basically the flow right now is we have a sales call. They say yes. Or we have a sales call. I send them a proposal. They say yes. Then I send them a contract, send them a payment link. We send the onboarding. We match them with their offshore like employee. I don't want to do anything after the sales call. So I will do it 5 times to figure out the flow and figure out the best case of anything. and then I will just give that to someone else to do, because you should be focusing on 100% of what you're good at that no one else can do. And like, I'm the only one who can get on sales calls, explain everything what I built at Rupa, make someone feel comfortable, and then have them go work with me. Anyone can send the contract, anyone can make the proposal, anyone can do all the other things.
So with the stuff that you did at Rupa, are you allowed to talk about that at all? A little bit?
Depends on what it is.
So how did that workflow, or like when you got to Rupa, and what was your title there?
I started as head of media, and then I became head of growth after a year and a half.
So when you got there, your main job was obviously growth, but it seems like a big part of it was helping all the employees be able to best utilize their roles.
That was just an accident. So essentially what happened was this guy, Kobe Conrad, was head of growth. Kobe hired me to build all of our media, all of our content. Head of media was just a fancy title for head of content, which was all social media channels, any type of organic content, blog, YouTube, all that. Yeah, I mean, you just like, part of the deal was when I came to work there was I took the best 6 video editors from my content marketing agency with me to do Rupa's YouTube channel, so we could have the best animated videos in healthcare. And then it was really funny because nobody would let me hire a full-time employee for anything, but I couldn't do everything myself. And like, also, dude, if you're paying me more than $100K, like, you don't want me uploading videos. Like, it takes me a month to send a contract because I just don't feel like doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that is like, you don't need to pay me to do those things. That is just a bad business decision. Like, if you're going to pay me more than $100K,
why are you having me do low leverage?
Yeah, the reason you are paying me is because I can figure out content in a way that no one else can. Like, I'm gonna go figure out how we can average 10,000 plus views on a YouTube video. Like, any time spent not doing that is emotional energy, which is just emotional energy is just as important as physical time spent. Like, not spent on that, right?
Doing nonsense.
So yeah, when I wanted to hire a contractor for anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 a month, everyone's like, yeah, that's fine. And then next thing you know, there's 20 contractors in the Slack, and everyone's like, does anyone know that Phillip just hired an entire team in the Philippines? Like, there was no growth budget at Rupa, really. And Kobe kind of had full autonomy to do whatever. So he just kept adding these people. And then me and him were the only ones that realized that there was a Slack with all of them. That was just like, what is going on?
Oh, that's so funny. So one of the things with Rupa that you guys did an incredible job at is the blog posts. Can you talk a little bit about that at all?
Yeah, I mean, this is super simple.
I mean, it's ingenious. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not credited. I can't take credit. I can take credit for what it became, but not what it started as. It was either Tar or Kobe. It depends who you ask came up with this, because they argue. But like, one of them called it a magazine. And just calling the blog a magazine is such a game changer because it just frames it differently. And I think where people really mess up with SEO is they think they have to just do it to get the results. But in reality, you should really treat it like the product. I mean, we launched a new landing page for the magazine today, and I'm so excited because it looks so good. Did you say you saw?
I said, let's go.
Oh, it's like, dude, literally this was like 3 hours ago. We came out I treated it like a full product. So like, this is so dumb, but it's so important. Like, we hyperlink every medical citation. And if you hover over the the hyperlink, a little pop-up shows up and it's a box and it says trusted source. And then it says where that citation is from, like Institute of National Health, whatever, where the publication is from. Dude, it's those little things that no one else is doing, And if you figure out those little edges and those little product things, that's how we were able to make the magazine what it was. It's because, like, we had the pop-up that if you reviewed 3 articles, you get a pop-up asking us to sign up for your newsletter that drove like 5,000 subs a month. Like, it was fully treating it like a product that made it do really, really well.
And one of the things that was crazy about it was the SEO optimization. Like, if I looked up almost anything health related, Rupa Health came up number 1 with a magazine article.
Yeah, I mean, that's a combination of having really good content where at one point I sat down, pulled 10 random articles that I was like, these are terrible, and then wrote a 1,000-word Slack post that day that was basically like, these are all the things we're going to do to make this better. And if you look at our exponential, it's timed at the same time. We also did like a programmatic SEO thing at the same time. So it was the combination of those two. But Like I created a group. I literally took one of my college writing rubrics from college. I took it out. And then I made a writing rubric for all of our magazine articles, A, B, C, D. And for 4 months, I read every single article and then graded them with a letter grade. And if you got a C or lower twice, you got let go as a writer. Every B had to be rewritten to an A, and every A plus got a $100 bonus. And I just did that for 4 months. And I don't know if our lead editor is still doing that, but that was the thing I did for 4 months that helped us level up all of our writers, because we found out they were all using ChatGPT, and it's like, all right, if you're going to use ChatGPT, like let us show you how to use it better. So we did that. What was really smart was doing partnerships, and whenever we did partnerships with other companies, we'd ask for 5 to 10 backlinks. So that increases your authority score. Yeah, so we have an SEO specialist, really good. He basically helped us do like all of our optimizations. They're really easy to find, but yeah, I mean, we had him. We had a graphic designer that puts custom graphics in every all of the articles. And like the question is, so a lot of people are like, does that help? And I'm like, dude, I don't know. It's just, how do you build like
trust and authority?
Yeah. And it's just write the best articles. Like don't try and so much. I think where people mess up when they're very high thinking people is trying to game systems, when in reality, it's just like, do what feels natural. Where like the best analogy I have is I tried to grow on Twitter so much. I did threads every day. I went through the gambit of trying to grow on Twitter like 3 different times, and I just couldn't get any traction. Tara, the CEO of Rupa, goes viral all the time. And I was like, how does she do this? And I was like, Tara, how do you go viral all the time? She goes, I just write whatever pops into my head. And I was like, are you kidding me? What? And then, so I was like, I'm going to try that. So literally anytime I had a thought, I just wrote it down and I posted on Twitter. And then I did 10 million views in 1 month. And I was like, shit, like this actually works. And I think it's a combination of like, okay, do all the right things with SEO, but also just like make the content that, 1, you want to write, 2, that's really good. So like with our doctors, we let them pick any articles they want to write, because it's like, dude, just write what you really enjoy writing about, and you'll write articles that are better than everyone else.
And with which part like of that equation, you listed a few roles in creating the blog. How many of those people were contractors versus employees, like the medical writers?
Contractors.
The medical writers
who wrote for us was a contractor. Yeah. None of our full-time employees wrote. It's just a better deal, and you just pay per article.
Nice. And the medical writers, were they like, a lot of them were doctors, right? If I remember
correctly.
practitioners,
Nurse practitioners, MDs, DOs, all over the place.
Got you. And were they like US?
Yeah, everyone.
Yeah. And I think I remember something about by making it a magazine, not a blog, it was a lot easier to get all those people, just because they felt like the authority.
People want to write for a magazine, they don't want to write for a blog.
It's so funny. What a great little just funny thing. I'm sure it applies to so many different things.
Dude, everything. Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny. So if we're going to take like a bullseye or a bird's eye perspective and think about, for a lot of people call themselves solopreneurs, or they're trying to make money on the internet, how should they think about leveraging properly, I guess would be the word, or the
leveraging what?
Leveraging their time properly, leveraging their ability to make content. Just how do they maximize
peg yourself at an hourly rate? This is the best. Like, just peg yourself at an hourly rate. You know, sophomore year of college, my internship paid me $37.50 an hour. That was my hourly rate. You know, now my hourly rate is probably closer to $500 an hour. I will not do anything myself that costs less than that.
And do you have like exceptions to that? Like if you really hate something?
Oh yeah, I mean obviously.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know, like it's not a hard fast rule. Also, 500 is so high.
Yeah, true.
Mine personally is probably closer to 100. Is what anything above 100 I'll probably do myself, but anything below, outsource immediately. And that goes for everything. Raking leaves. Like I've had to teach my mom this. Like, raking leaves. Doing any type of labor work.
It's funny. A lot of times it takes like a lazy person, quote unquote. Okay, it's funny how the lazy people always find a way to get things done. And it's a funny little tidbit, like when you're thinking about the person who works really hard, let's say they're grinding for 14 hours a day, they're still not getting close to what Jeff Bezos is getting done because he has 10,000 employees. And it's just, I just love the ability now for the everyday person to be able to outsource and leverage tasks that a few years back without, the internet, you would never been able to do. Like, it's just crazy the ability now to outsource and be able to work on the things that you actually, the reason why you're doing what you're doing. So what do you think now? What is, your offer now? What you're doing is just essentially connecting people with VAs, offshore employees, and helping them better utilize the skill set. What does it look like?
Yeah. So essentially what we had done at Rupa was we had 20 offshore people that helped us do everything for creative, marketing, growth. So video editors, SEO specialists, graphic designers. We had the best thing that no one will listen to me on, that I keep telling them, is like we had 2 full-time Webflow developers and designers who just built, like, they built the Rupa. They were the people who treated the magazine like a product. They built all of Rupa University's website. Like, anytime we had a little feature, they built growth products for us. They were so helpful, because the engineering team is always backed up. They never have time. So you never will ever actually get dedicated resources for growth unless you're at like Series C and they start building a growth engineering team, right? So essentially what I'm doing now is meeting with founders and companies and helping them build offshore teams for marketing, creative, and growth. And that's very individualized, case by case basis. So, some people will be like, yo, I just want a video editor. Some people like, I just want a VA. Some people like, I think you have a really cool system, but I don't know what I want. And then I'm like, okay, have everyone on your team give me a 1-pager on what they do, how much they spend time with, and what they do and do not like doing. And then we'll just outsource everything they don't like doing.
That's a great note for people that probably everyone should do that for themselves.
Yeah.
Like, just go through everything that you do. And then, like, you broke it down. Can you repeat that? What you broke down to me before we hit record when you were talking about the red, yellow, yellow, green.
It's just list everything you do in a week, how much time you're spending on it proportionally, not like raw time, but 50%, 20%. And then just red, yellow, green. Red, you don't like doing it. Yellow, it's okay. Green, you like doing it. Because what I have found is, like, the things you enjoy doing and the things that give you energy when you do it, dude, no one in the world can compete with you on it. Like, I knew that the content engine I built at Rupa, like, would beat any healthcare company in the world long term, just because I like it was just fun. It was just a video game for me, right? Like, you can't beat me if that's how I'm treating it. And if you're just like, oh, this is just my job, like, you lose every single time, right? So just focus on the things you really like doing, and once you do that, like, you can't go back. Like,
next to no one's doing this too, right? Like,
what do you mean?
In terms of leveraging a lot of these tasks, like, there's very few companies in general that are going through and taking out a lot of these straightforward tasks for their high paid individuals, right?
The first person that I ever heard do this was in 2021, Nathan Laka, runs a big SaaS company, and he's really big in like SaaS bootstrap land. Nathan's belief was hire contractors to do only one specific task. So Nathan had like 100 contractors working for him. I think he basically just only used Upwork, and they all were just responsible for one thing. That was when Nathan didn't have like a massive team, and I think he does now. And I'm not friends with him. I just like literally heard him talk about this. But to my knowledge, I have not met anyone that works at a series. Like, I've never met anyone that worked at a big company that actually like built a lot of the systems that we like had.
Yeah, like, I have friends, and I've been telling them this more recently after seeing the stuff you've been writing on Twitter and just learning a little bit from you, that are working at like Goldman Sachs, and they're working these crazy 15-hour days, doing nonsense, punching in numbers on a spreadsheet for hours on hours on these small tasks that, could be outsourced so easily.
Well, like McKinsey and a lot of other companies have like teams in India and stuff that do it. So I get that. That's basically the equivalent. I think it's probably harder. Like, I have no idea what the hourly, like, they're still probably spending so much money. But yeah, I mean, it's basically the same thing. It's like, the best thing we had at Rupa was the fact that we had 6 full-time animators and 2 graphic designers in a Slack channel. So if you needed anything design related, graphic for your printout, whatever, you literally just dropped in that Slack channel and you had it in an hour.
That's such a game changer.
Oh yeah, no. And then it just makes everyone happier. Things move faster.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so if someone wants to start utilizing contractors, you think the best place for people to start is like Fiverr?
Yeah. I mean, the benefits of Fiverr is really good if you want someone to do one task. Like if you just want them to, edit a photo, like one time off things or one very specific thing, just use Fiverr. The problem with Fiverr is you're never going to get customized help. You're never going to get the best product because that person's also serving like 20 other people, right?
Yep.
So that's what Fiverr is good for. So short-term work. Long-term work, Upwork is better. Upwork probably, honestly, probably comparable talent. They're different people though, because the Fiverr people are basically selling a product. The Upwork people are basically selling a service. Job board people are the best. Yeah. But getting started, probably just using Upwork. It really just depends what like your workflow is. Like you shouldn't edit videos. You should just pay someone on Fiverr or Upwork.
Yeah, because it's a lot of these things, like, I don't know, people have in their head when they're hiring out tasks, I think they have in their head that everything's a lot more expensive than it actually is.
Well, all right. The best piece of advice I can give is like you had asked earlier, when should people do all this stuff? The whole point of business is that like, not the point, but like the way you win in business is whoever learns the fastest wins, because you want to develop an edge. You develop an edge by learning faster than everyone else. So you have to move quickly on everything. So like the reason I had 3 cell phones when I was trying to learn how to go viral is so I can make 3 variations of the same video to learn how to do it faster, right? So like when I started, I don't need to do this anymore because I'm really good at picking people out. But like whenever I hired a contractor to do something when I was younger, I'd hire 3 to 5 people to all do the same job. I'd have them do 10% of it. And then you already know based on the quality of it and the speed in which they communicate who you want to work with. And then you just let you not work with the other 4 and then you just pick the one.
Yep.
And that is like how you do it.
So an example of this would be, let's say you want to get your email flows designed, right? You have 5 people that you pay something small amount to create one email. And then you compare and contrast, see what all that stuff.
In 2021, I hired every single video editor on Fiverr to edit a video.
Well, what's
literally
so amazing
every
about that?
single one. And then I moved to Upwork, and then I just started sourcing people directly.
I mean, what's so amazing about that is I'm sure you just have like a database of contractors who
You're assuming I'm way more organized than I am.
Well, but in your head, let's just, the people who you've had great success with, obviously.
Correct.
And with that said, it makes it so much easier because I'm sure.
They also all have friends. You just ask for referrals.
Oh, that's a great point. And you found that that's pretty,
I hired an entire friend group from a film school in the Philippines.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
It was the president of the film school, the vice president of the film school, and all of their friends working together.
And I'm sure they loved that too.
Yes.
They thought it was probably
that was
so
my
cool.
content marketing agency, was just 2 different friend groups.
Oh, that's so funny. So when you think about competitive edge, do you think that your competitive edge has been this essentially? Or do you think it's that you can solve complex problems? Like
I think it changes over time. Now I feel like I have figured out a couple things when it comes to like outsourcing, building content flywheels. Also, edges are different, right? Where it's like, if you go from like the hustler crowd of knowing how to go viral on social media and then you go work at a big company, those people are so far behind on content that it's like your edge is just knowing the difference between TikTok and Instagram. You know what I mean? Like it depends what you're looking at. Yeah.
That makes sense. So what you're doing right now, like for your current situation, you feel like your edge is what you just mentioned with
I feel like it's one, we got a really big Twitter influencer to help me with my new business that I don't want to say because that's not like official.
Yeah.
But it's like a loose framework of helping each other. So that's 1. 2, I don't know what the other people are doing, but like I think I figured out stuff sourcing that other people haven't. So that's really helpful. And then 3, brand of like, I built this giant team at Rupa, and that is a very good story to sell people to implement in their own company. Where like I have a co-founder who helps me, and he's way better at doing internal systems than me. So like Harlan does all of that stuff, the Fivver guy on Twitter. But
Yeah, I've seen him.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
he's a friend from college.
Nice.
But like he built a lot of his business because I taught him how to do that like 3 years ago. Yeah, Harlan does great. But
Shout out the Michigan crew. You guys have some guys doing some cool things. I was with I met the guys from Riker, the shorts. Have you seen those?
No, I haven't.
Well, they went to Michigan with you.
Oh, I'm assuming they're younger, but
I think they said they were like friends of a friend or something like that.
No, that makes sense.
But they're doing cool. They're doing cool stuff in the e-com space as well. It's funny. The Michigan's doing well out there.
Yeah.
But you mentioned that tweet that you had that got you a bunch of clients. What was the purpose of the tweet, or what was the content of it?
Oh, I mean, there was two. One was just our SEO graph talking about how we like grew SEO, an SEO specialist.
And you already broke that down, right?
Yeah,
that's what we talked about earlier.
Yeah. Two was about how we used Nigerian doctors to help our content flows. Like, dude, I needed someone to edit our medical content, but I couldn't afford to pay a US doctor to edit and review and check all of our medical content.
That's great.
So I hired Nigerian doctors and taught them how to use ChatGPT to be able to help us medically review everything. Like, we were posting medical graphics in all of our articles, but like, we were making 10, 20 graphics a day. I needed someone to review and make sure they were all accurate. So Offshore Doctors were a huge unlock for us. They reviewed all of our YouTube videos. They reviewed all of our graphics. They helped edit articles. They made sure all the medical citations are accurate. Like, it sounds crazy, but the amount of specialized talent overseas that people just discriminate against is massive.
Wow. And especially too, because your guys' main audience was doctors to begin with.
Yes.
So they are the most knowledgeable people that would go back and look at all these things. So you have to make sure you cross your T's, dot your I's. Yeah, you can't be wrong.
And so they helped to make sure everything was correct.
That's fascinating. What do you think the biggest unlock for you was when you were working at Rupa, or the biggest unlock you unlocked for the team?
Oh, I mean, one was implementing all the offshore contractors to do everything. Two was the Nigerian doctors.
It's so interesting. So very selfishly here. So you're loosely familiar with like Labify and the stuff that I'm doing there. What do you think, when having the experience of Rupa, what do you think the best use for something like VAs or leveraging offshore would be?
Can you tell me more about Labify?
So just selling lab work direct to consumer, essentially.
I mean, tell me more about what you do. Like what is your workflow?
Oh,
right
my
now?
workflow
channel. Who's your target customer? All right, let's start from the top. What's the goal?
The goal in the sense of from a customer standpoint or for a personal standpoint?
Both.
Okay. From a customer standpoint, it's easy, convenient, cheaper than the alternative lab work.
Got it.
From my standpoint, it's a company that will give me financial freedom without having me look at a computer for 14 hours a day and ruin my life.
What's your revenue and what's your customer base size?
I'll bleep out the revenue, but so I didn't want to step on the gas with marketing until I was sure that obviously all the legal was said, and I just wanted to make sure, all my systems and things could handle, actually driving a lot of traffic. So we've done revenue with about 40% margins with only using 2 affiliates and no paid traffic at all. That's been it. Solely shout out Noah, Ryan, and you, bro.
Dude, just get Noah. That's why I love Noah. I met Noah when nobody knew who he was. And Noah is one of the people I'm most proud of. But yeah, just get Noah to freaking distribute.
Dude, exactly. But that's a game changer. I mean, affiliates is awesome. Affiliates are a huge unlock because it's just a positive ROI no matter what.
Dude, if you give, I mean,
and the cool
negotiates hard with you, it's my fault because I gave him advice on how to do it. But like, if I was you, I'd just literally give equity to Noah and set it priced based on revenue. Like, if you drive X revenue, you unlock this equity tier. And it needs to all be attributable to you. And I would just give him that goal.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And then you can decide if you want to add cash incentives on that or not too. I probably would.
Yeah.
Because like, again, it depends what the goal is. If you want to just cash flow, If you want to just cash flow, focus on the equity incentives. If you want to exit for a ton of money, you just want to grow revenue as quick as humanly possible. So give Noah like massive cash bonuses
Yeah.
in the sense. Go ahead.
What would you recommend in that sense, having been on kind of both sides of that, been in a company that's been focusing on essentially getting sold, and then also focusing on like the revenue thing when you're doing your own content?
I have no desire to do a venture-backed startup.
Yeah.
I think it is extremely stressful. It's kind of a bad deal. Like, I just want to own 100% of my own business and cash flow $2 million a year.
I feel similarly.
That is my goal, personal goal. So you want to pick like a high margin, low lever business. So your original question was, where can we use contractors? Just like wherever in the flow you don't want to do something. Like if you're the person meeting with them and recommending tests, like, dude, just have the VA go like order the tests, right? Have the VA own all the communication. Like, let me put this idea in your head. One of the things I wanted to do at Rupa, but I never got the chance to, was I realized everyone in functional medicine works with the same influencer doctors. There's literally like 20. Like Mark Hyman's obviously the biggest, but then there's people like Dan Kalish, Kara Fitzgerald, like these smaller people. And dude, everyone works with the same ones. You want them to like you the most. So I wanted to hire a VA whose only job was to stalk all of their internet presence, find out when their kids' birthdays were, find out when their birthdays were, when they had a special event, book signing, anything, and then just send them personalized custom gifts for every celebration. So they're all just like, wow, Rupa's amazing. Like, I love working.
Yeah.
That was the thing I wanted to do. But it's like, anything like, so it's any type of those things like that doesn't necessarily require like a ton of like critical thinking. You don't necessarily need American. Like, I actually don't like, I honestly don't know why you would necessarily need an American for most like businesses. I think the future structure of company is one full-time employee to pretend offshore contractors.
Okay. So one employee that manages 10 contractors.
Pretty much.
And so can you break down that flow? So it would be one employee who is responsible solely for critical thinking tasks, and then 10 contractors who would they be very specific towards different things?
Like figuring out the system. So what I advise people on is kind of like, go figure it all out, build the system around it, and then just let it run itself and just check in on the system once a month. So an example of that is like when we figured out our YouTube channel, basically the flow was I would go do research on YouTube, figure out the topics we'd want to focus on for the month. I'd then email the doctors that make videos for us. And I was like, hey, I want videos on these topics. When you hire people, you're hiring them because you trust them to do something. You shouldn't have to review it.
Yeah.
The amount I actually reviewed the videos that they wanted to make was basically zero. Because I was like, we do trials. I'll check the first 3, but after the first 3 are good, like I don't need to check everyone. That's just a waste. You hire people to do what they're really good at. Focus on that. Just find the best people to make videos. You shouldn't have to babysit anyone. Otherwise, you're working with bad people. Go find someone else. So they would then make the video, send it to me. Video editor picks it up, edits it, throws it in Notion, makes the thumbnail, all that, posts it, right? Like, why do I need to be involved in that? You know what I mean? Like once you figure out how that system works and runs, take an offshore contractor. Yo, you're in charge of this. Here is an SOP and a Loom, Notion doc. How you do it all. Just run through this process on this day, every month, this many times, and do this, and just keep doing it forever. Yeah.
And what about the trust aspect of it? Like in the sense of
100%. Dude, all these people want jobs. Nothing bad's gonna happen. Yeah. I've had one person ever steal a credit card. That was really upsetting. They spent $4,000 on a credit card. I mean, you just dispute it, so it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Thing that keeps me awake up at night is I gave VA to a friend that runs a crypto company, and I'm like, dude, don't let them near the crypto keys. If they take it out, that's not my fault.
Yeah.
But trust wise, it's like, yeah, man. I mean, all these people really want jobs. Like, they're not going to scam you. They're not going to do anything bad. Honestly, you're more likely to get scammed on Upwork and Fivver than working with people who just want full-time jobs. Is my opinion.
And you recommend hiring full-time?
It depends what you need.
Yeah.
I like to start part-time on hourly, prove out the work. I think interviews are a complete waste of time. Why do
proof of work.
Why do I need to interview anyone for anything? Proof of work. Just do a 2 to 4 week work trial.
And so for most people, probably if they're going to hire someone for the first time for a full-time role, that would be like a general VA.
Yeah. Depends on the situation.
Yeah, there's a lot
like
of
one company I'm helping with right now. They had a marketing team of 5 people. They laid off 4, and now they just have 1. But they want the same output, so I'm helping that one like build a team around them.
Nice.
But they started with a video editor, you know,
Mhm.
so it's really case by case basis.
What have you learned from working with the other businesses now who are starting to utilize these practices?
The bar is real low.
Mm.
Just like a lot of things. What else? What have I learned?
I mean, that's just a great point to begin with, though. That
Yeah.
a lot of companies don't have these systems down pat.
A lot of people aren't great at communicating with others. Like I give a lot of advice on like, hey, this is how you communicate with them. This is the instructions you should be giving. This should be your expectations.
Communication's a big piece of it, right? Obviously, English is probably for a lot of these people not their first language. They take things literally. A lot of times you have to really be precise in your speech.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah, that. People ask vague questions. They'll like send one question, get an answer, send another question, but we're working different time zones. So like then you're just like taking 3 days to get all stuff answered. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny. The thing that like unlocked this for me and made me realize, and admittedly, I'm still probably not leveraged enough with offshore stuff, but I spent like a bunch of days trying to figure out and like optimize bookkeeping. And I was like punching it in and I was trying to figure out, it was my first time ever doing it. And I had like a lot of uncertainty around it. And then I paid somebody like $60 to do a month worth of bookkeeping. And they did a fantastic job with it. And it was perfect. And it was causing me so much anxiety and it was such a headache. And I was like, damn, this is like, it's just a great reminder for people that there's a lot to just having the humility to just not do things you don't want to do.
Oh, yeah. Dude, forget the bookkeeping organization. I won't do any of that.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm never going to do any of that stuff anymore. Phillip, what do you think some of the big things are that we'd be remiss if we didn't cover?
Oh, big things are remiss.
Or just anything that comes to mind that you think would be interesting for people?
My Rupa exit was great, but working at a startup is a bad deal. Before you take startup equity, make sure you understand all the agreements. You get a 7-year exercise window. If they tell you 3 months, tell them to make it 7 years, and you want a 7-year exercise window.
What does that mean?
Yeah. So when you work at a startup, they give you options.
Yeah.
So you have to buy those options. So let's say I get $100K in stock a year. I still don't even know how all this works. But like you basically will get options for that $100K. You have to buy them at a specific price. Usually it's only like 10%. But you know, if you're getting $100K a year over 4 years, that's 40 grand. Startups don't pay a lot. You save $2K a month over 4 years. You know, that's like $80K. That means 50% of your savings that you save from that job is now just going towards buying your equity. That might be worth nothing.
Okay.
Right? So because let's say you work at the startup for 4 years with equity, the startup's at Series A, they do, 30 million in revenue, like 30% growth rate, they might not raise a Series B, like, or a Series C or whatever, or get to the next round. That means if the liquidation price means if like the liquidation price is 100 million, if the company sells below 100 million, all of that money goes to the VCs, employees get nothing. So there's a very real chance you work at a startup for 4 years and they make nothing on the stock, even though the company sells for a really high price. Your exercise window is how long you have to buy those shares. So let's say you have to pay the 40K to buy the 400,000. Most startups will do 3 months. So you have 3 months to buy your equity. Make sure it's 7 years. Because if it's 7 years, you don't have to buy it if the company gets bought, right? So like, I don't think this is a secret, but like Rupa's got bought. I didn't have to pay the exercise; it just got taken out of the acquisition, right? So you want 7 years, you don't have to go spend 40 grand because if the company is below the liquidation price, you just lost that 40 grand.
And the 7 years gives you the time to kind of see how things are going to play out. Like you see if things are working in the right direction. And I mean, most of the time, probably by the end of 7 years, you have a pretty good idea of the direction things are heading in. That's a great
7
point.
Years. I would never join another startup unless they gave me 7 years. Because there's no, and like, dude, they don't have to give it to everyone. They don't have to, because the argument against this is like, oh, you lock up a bunch of stock.
Mm.
So like, let's say a bunch of people wouldn't have bought it. They can't then give that stock to someone else because someone has 7 years now, right? Dude, if you're a high performer, make them give you 7 years.
Mhm.
And like, just be like, I'll sign an NDA that says I won't like tell anyone, any of the other employees. And if I tell any of the employees, I lose it. Like that's
a
what I
good
would
point.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Everything is malleable. Everything can be changed. Everything can be customized. If they tell you like, oh, we don't do that, like that's a lie.
Mhm.
Everything can be a specialized agreement.
It's a great point, dude. Everything's so negotiable.
Yeah. And then if you make a big deal of things, it seems like a big deal. If you make a small deal of things, it seems like a small deal. Everything is just framing and how you handle it.
Mm-hmm. It's a great point. Phillip, dude, thank you for this. This was a lot of fun. Let's go.
This was helpful, Ryan.
Oh, it's very helpful for me. And I think we definitely need to have some more conversations. I definitely need to be
anytime.
using your services of
Oh yeah,
the expertise.
dude, you were part of the flywheel at one point. You wrote the LinkedIn post. Sam went in, made the graphics,
Mhm.
and Bridget went and posted on LinkedIn.
And it was so helpful because I had some other friends who are who were ghostwriters, and they were they had to do posting, they had to do kind of the whole.
Dude, when we didn't pay you for that. That's so dumb.
It was
We didn't
so
pay you for
dumb.
that. Like, it's so unnecessary to have someone focus on things that they aren't good at. It's just you're trying to squeeze too much from a sponge. But like the way you really win is not by nickel and diming. It's by focusing on that 20% driving 80% of the results. Like, dude, just write the post. I don't need you like spending that extra effort actually posting them. So dumb.
Yeah. And like what I wonder how much money you save by not having the other roles and having that one person do everything. It's
What you're
probably so minuscule.
What you're losing is the ability to move fast, and you should spend any money you want to move fast because you get to develop those edges that no one else does.
That's the perfect place for us to end. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Awesome, brother. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Let's go. Thank you. That was awesome.
I'm glad.